Hey everyone, welcome back to nullmicgo channel. Today is January 20th, 2026 and we've got a really wide-ranging set of stories. From geopolitical fights over AI chips to new cloud GPUs, safety and age gating in ChatGPT, local coding models, AI for filmmakers, and even a game that tests which AI lies the best. Let's dive in. Story 1. Anthropic CEO compares AI chips to nukes. Our first story is about the geopolitics of AI. This news comes from Bloomberg, surfaced via Hacker News AI Topics, and was published on January 20th, 2026. Bloomberg reports that Anthropic's CEO has taken a very hard line on exporting advanced AI chips to China, reportedly saying that selling these chips would be like selling nukes to North Korea. The key idea here is that state-of-the-art AI accelerators aren't just another piece of hardware anymore. In his view, they're strategic assets with national security implications. Advanced chips enable cutting-edge AI models, which can then be used for economic, military, and cyber advantages. This framing puts AI chips in the same mental bucket as nuclear technology or advanced weapons, and it supports the growing push in the US to restrict exports of the most powerful GPUs and accelerators to geopolitical rivals. So keep this in mind as we talk about our next story, which is all about new, even more powerful GPUs coming online in the cloud. Story 2. New AWS G7e instances with NVIDIA Blackwell. This news comes from the AWS news blog and was released on January 20th, 2026. Amazon Web Services has announced new IEC2 G7e instances powered by NVIDIA RTX Pro 6000 Blackwell Server Edition GPUs. According to AWS, these new instances deliver up to 2.3 times better inference performance compared to previous generations. And they're positioned as a cost-effective choice for generative AI inference and high-end graphics workloads. So what does that mean in practice? It means faster and cheaper deployment of large language models, image generators, and video tools at scale. Exactly the kind of infrastructure that powers products like ChatGPT, mid-journey style services, and enterprise AI assistants. Now, connect this back to the Anthropic story. On one side, we have Western cloud providers ramping up access to incredibly powerful chips. And on the other side, we have major players arguing that exporting similar capabilities to certain countries is as risky as proliferation of weapons. So the theme here is AI hardware is both a business story and a geopolitical story. Story 3. OpenAI launches age prediction for ChatGPT. Next up, safety and age gating in AI. This news comes from Engadget Tech News and was published on January 20th, 2026. Engadget reports that OpenAI is rolling out a global age prediction system for ChatGPT accounts. The goal? Figure out whether a user is likely to be a minor based on behavioral and account level signals. According to OpenAI's announcement, the model looks at things like how long an account has existed, typical times of day the account is active, usage patterns over time, and the user's stated age. If the system thinks you're underage but you're actually an adult, you'll need to verify via a selfie using the Persona Age Verification platform. Why now? Engadget connects this to two big factors. First, OpenAI has been implicated in a wrongful death lawsuit involving a teenager who allegedly used ChatGPT to plan his suicide. In the aftermath, OpenAI started talking more about automatic content restrictions for minors and created a mental health advisory council. Second, OpenAI is apparently preparing an adult mode that will allow NSFW content, so they need a stronger distinction between minors and adults. We've seen similar moves from platforms like Roblox, which Engadget points out has had mixed success at keeping minors away from adult content. It's likely that determined underage users will try to circumvent these protections. But the broader pattern is clear. As models get more powerful and more general purpose, companies are under pressure to build real safety and age layers on top, instead of just shipping features and worrying about the fallout later. That idea of alignment and safety comes back again in a couple of stories later, especially around how alignment changes how human these models feel. Story 4. Zhipu AI's G. LM 4.7 Flash for local coding and agents. Yeah. Now let's pivot from big cloud and policy to local models. This news comes from MarkTechPost AI News and was published on January 20th, 2026. Zhipu AI, also known as Z.AI, has released GLM 4.7-Flash, a new member of their GLM 4.7 model family. MarkTechPost describes it as a 30B-A3B MOE model. That's a 30 billion parameter mixture of experts model designed for efficient local deployment. The pitch here is, strong coding and reasoning performance, optimized for running locally on more modest hardware. Targeted at the developers who want powerful coding assistants and agents without always relying on the cloud. Zhipu positions GLM 4.7 Flash as one of the strongest models in the 30 billion parameter class, specifically tuned for lightweight deployment. So while AWS and NVIDIA are pushing massive cloud scale performance, Zhipu is tapping into the growing demand for good enough but private and local models, especially for coding and agentic workflows. Taken together, we're seeing a split ecosystem, hyperscale cloud AI on one side and increasingly capable local models on the other. Story 5. Adobe's new AI tools for Premiere and After Effects. Let's jump into creative tools. This news comes from Engadget Tech News and was published on January 20th, 2026. Engadget reports that Adobe is rolling out new AI-powered features for Premiere Pro and After Effects. For Premiere, the big new feature is for AI-powered object mask. You hover over a person or object in your clip, click, and Premiere automatically generates a tracking mask in seconds. It's meant to be accurate out of the box, but you can still adjust and resize it. Adobe says this uses its own AI model, runs on device, and importantly, they claim they're not using your data to train that model. They've also upgraded the shape mask tool, redesigned ellipse, rectangle, and pen masks. More precise controls for moving and adjusting masks. And object tracking that's up to 20 times faster than before. Plus, tighter integration with Firefly boards, Adobe's AI-powered canvas, so you can bring generated media into Premiere more easily. Full integration of Adobe stock directly into Premiere. For After Effects, You can now import SVG files more seamlessly. And there's support for building 3D parametric meshes, cubes, spheres, cylinders, cones, tori, and planes directly in the visual effects workflow, enabling more detailed graphics and photorealistic objects within images. So, if you're a video editor or motion designer, this is another step in AI becoming a default part of your toolchain. It also connects nicely to our latest story about Google and Sundance, where the question shifts from can AI do this to how do we empower creatives and communities to use it well. But Story 6. A curated awesome list for physical AI. So next up, something for the research and robotics crowd. This news comes from Hacker News, AI Topics, and was posted on January 20th, 2026, pointing to a GitHub repo. The project is called Awesome Physical AI, and it's a curated list of academic papers and resources at the intersection of foundation model and robotics, what the author calls physical AI. According to the repo description, it covers vision language action models like RT2 and Pi0. World models such as Dreamer Free, Genie 2, and JPA. Diffusion policies, real-world deployment and latency challenges, cross-embodiment transfer, scaling laws, and safety and alignment for robots. The author notes that the field has exploded in the last 18 months. We've gone from let's try LLMs on robotics to a very complex landscape with many dimensions to optimize perception, action, latency, safety, generalization, and more. The list is organized along a pipeline. Foundations to architectures, to action representations, to world models, to learning paradigms, to deployment, to applications. Contributions are welcome, especially fixes and missing papers. So if you're interested in robots that actually do things in the real world, not just chatbots, this is a nice one-stop jumping off point. Story 7. Which AI lies best? LLMs play Nash's 1950s Betrayal game. Now for something a bit more playful and slightly unsettling. This news comes from Hacker News, AI Topics, and was posted on January 20th, 2026, pointing to an interactive project at solongsucker.versal.app. The project is built around So Long Sucker, a 1950s betrayal game designed by John Nash and others. It's a multiplayer game where negotiation, trust, and betrayal are all part of the mechanics. The site explores a provocative question. Which AI lies best? By having different large language models play the game, negotiate, and strategize. Even though the article summary is minimal, the core idea is that we can probe LLM behavior, especially around honesty, deception, and strategy, by putting them into adversarial game theoretic scenarios. This ties directly into ongoing debates about alignment. If we train models to be helpful and honest, what happens when they're placed in environments where deception is rewarded? How do different models behave? And do alignment techniques actually reduce their ability to manipulate? That takes us neatly into our next story, which is about how alignment itself might be making AI feel less human. Story 8. Alignment makes AI less human. Oh, This news comes from a personal blog post by John Reddy, highlighted on Hacker News AI Topics, and was posted on January 20th, 2026. The article is titled "Alignment Makes AI Less Human." While the HN summary is short, the central claim is that the more we align AI systems by adding safety layers, refusal behaviors, guardrails, and canned responses, the less human they feel. Aligned models often avoid controversial topics, give generic, hedged answers, decline to speculate or express opinions, and sometimes behave in ways that feel robotic or sanitized. From one angle, that's the point. Alignment is supposed to make models safer, more predictable, and less likely to cause harm. But from another angle, as we see with the Nash Betrayal game and with user expectations for authentic conversation, there's tension between alignment and perceived humanity. People often want models that feel candid, creative, maybe even a bit edgy, while regulators and companies want them constrained, stable, and less liable. Tie this back to the OpenAI age prediction story. We are layering more and more classification and control on top of these models to gate content and behavior. That may be necessary, but it also changes the character of interacting with them. Story 9, Google and Sundance, community-led AI in film. Let's return to the creative world, but at a higher level. This news comes from the Google AI blog and was published on January 20th, 2026. Google describes a partnership with the Sundance Institute focused on building a community-led ecosystem for AI education and empowerment in film. The idea is not just to hand filmmakers tools, but to educate creatives on what AI can and cannot do, explore responsible and ethical use of AI in film, support underrepresented voices in understanding and shaping AI's role in storytelling, and create a community infrastructure around AI literacy in the arts. This is a notable contrast to the purely technical announcements. Adobe is pushing concrete AI features into editing tools. Google and Sundance are trying to shape the cultural and educational context around those tools. It also touches on labor concerns, creative control, and the fear that AI will replace rather than empower artists. By emphasizing a community-led approach, Sundance and Google are signaling that filmmakers themselves should be active participants in deciding how AI is used in their industry. Story 10. CI and LLM review for Fedora Forge with Forgeo actions. Our final story is one for the open source and DevOps crowd. This news comes from a blog post on happyassassin.net, highlighted via Hacker News AI Topics, and was posted on January 19th, 2026. The post describes setting up continuous integration and large language model-based code review on Fedora Forge using Forgeo actions. In practice, this means you push code to a Forgeo-hosted repo on Fedora Forge. CI pipelines run automatically. An LLM is integrated into the workflow to help review code, flagging potential issues, suggesting improvements, or commenting on pull requests. This is part of a broader trend. AI is becoming a default part of the software development pipeline, not just something you query manually in a chat window. What's interesting here is that it's happening in an open source context, using Forgeo, an open source Forge platform. on Fedora Forge, which is part of the Fedora ecosystem. So while big vendors are building proprietary copilots, the open source world is experimenting with its own integrations, where communities have more control over how LLMs are used and what models they rely on. And that circles back to Zhipu's local coding model and the physical IAB list. Developers now have options, from fully hosted proprietary systems to local or open workflows, and even robotics-oriented stacks. Wrapping up. Themes and where to go next. Let's connect the dots. On the infrastructure side, our Bloomberg's coverage of Anthropic's CEO shows that AI chips are now viewed as strategic assets, with export controls framed in almost nuclear terms. The AWS news blog announcement of G7E instances with NVIDIA's Blackwell GPUs shows just how fast cloud AI performance is ramping up. On the user and safety side, our Engadget's report on OpenAI's age prediction for ChatGPT reveals a push towards stricter gating, especially as adult mode and NSFW content loom. The blog post alignment makes AI less human, highlighted on Hacker News, raises questions about whether all these safety layers are making AI feel more constrained and less authentic. The Nash Betrayal game at solongsucker.versal.app probes how aligned models behave when deception is rewarded. On the tools and creativity side, all on den aus Adobe's new AI-powered Premiere and After Effects features covered by Engadget show AI coming deeply embedded in professional creative workflows. Google's AI blog post about partnering with Sundance Institute moves the conversation from tools to community, ethics, and education in film. On the developer and research side, MarkTechPost's coverage of Zhipu AI's GLM 4.7 Flash highlights the rise of efficient local models for coding and agents. The awesome physical AI GitHub list, shared via Hacker News, maps out a rapidly expanding frontier where foundation models meet robotics. And HappyAssassin.net's write-up on CI and LLM review with Forgejo actions shows AI sliding into everyday open source development workflows. Taken together, the story of AI right now isn't just models are getting bigger, it's hardware turning into geopolitics. Safety and alignment reshaping how AI feels to users. AI weaving itself into creative industries and open source tooling. And communities from Sundance filmmakers to Fedora devs trying to steer how this technology actually gets used. If you want to go deeper, check out the original sources. Bloomberg for the Anthropic export control story, DevToff, the AWS news blog for G7E instance details. Engadget for both the OpenAI age prediction coverage and Adobe's new video tools. MarkTechPost for Zhipu AI's GLM 4.7 Flash. The Google AI blog for the Sundance partnership. And the various Hacker News links for the physical AI list, the Nash Betrayal game, the alignment essay, and the Fedora Forge CI and LLM integration. All links are in the description so you can read the full articles and explore the projects yourself. If you found this roundup useful, consider subscribing to nullmicgo channel for more curated AI news. And let me know in the comments which of these stories you think will have the biggest impact. The chip geopolitics, the creative tools, or the alignment and safety changes. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.